What up? Good morning. Happy Thursday. Today's Thursday. I had to think about it for a second. Just got done with a 5-mile easy pace run, 8:52 per mile. And I got my first run in my new Nike Vaporflies. So, I think I can get these off. These are some pretty dope shoes. So right here, so Vaporfly Next 2%. And I'm just gonna give a small review about them. I just got them in the mail. And first and foremost, what I'll say is the first thing you notice is that they're super light. And so if I were to compare these to other carbon plated shoes, I've got some Saucony, I think they're called Sauconys. I don't know how to pronounce it, to be perfectly honest, but Saucony or Saucony Endorphin Pro 2s. And those are the first, I'll say, carbon plated race type shoe that I've ever purchased, and I really like them. They are a comfortable shoe. They're easy to run in, but I didn't have anything else to compare them to. So these Nike Vaporfly 2 Next Percents, these are the second carbon plated shoe that I've purchased. And I got them because of a few reasons. Number one, they were on sale. So if you've watched any of my other videos, I purposely purchase previous year models because they're discounted and they have really good technology. I'm not at such an elite status that I feel like I need the best of the best of the best shoe. Frankly, I think it would be a waste of money. I go by the old adage, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, meaning I could have the dopest arrow, but if I can't shoot a bow for shit, well, it's not gonna matter, right? And so me being a relatively new runner, I don't think that it's worth it for me to go and spend $250, $275 on a pair of shoes when I'm still trying to lock in my running form or trying to lock in my paces and trying to get the basics of running down. So I consistently purchase previous year's models because you can get them at a steep discount. So in this particular case, this is normally a $250 running shoe. You can get it on Nike.com right now. I'm not sponsored, unfortunately. Nike.com right now for 40% off, $150, okay? I'm lucky enough to have a family member that works at Nike, and so I get an additional discount on top of it. So I think I got these for like $90, okay? So that's one of the first reasons why I purchased the shoe, was because it was discounted, and I think these are a cool color, but even if they were an ugly color, I would still purchase them. That's the other thing about me, is that if I'm buying a performance shoe, so when I used to play basketball or when I used to play racquetball, I would go out and I would find the ugliest shoes because usually they were discounted, but you still get top-notch technology. And when it's all said and done, I care about performance, not the looks. I have other shoes, not very many because I'm not a big shoe person in that respect. I like performance shoes. But I have shoes that I can go and like they match things and all that other stuff. This is not what this is for. This is so that I can get the best running experience possible. So anyways, first and foremost, they're a light shoe right out of the box, okay? I don't know what the exact weight is, but that's just one thing that I noticed, is that they're light as hell, okay? The other thing is that the uppers are very light as well. So you can actually see through them. See my fingers, right? And I think that's all running shoes, right? They go super light. I have read some reviews where the uppers have broken down in these. Obviously, this is my first time running in them, and I didn't run a long distance. Even if I did, I wouldn't notice it, I'm sure. But I put 5 miles on them just to make sure that there weren't any hot spots or anything, and then I'd have to endure the long run with a shoe that was no longer comfortable. But these shoes were comfortable for the 5 miles. I didn't have any issues with them like I had with previous Nike running shoes. And so that was something that was nice. The other thing I'll point out is when I first started running, so, you know, my first mile or so, what I noticed or felt was that they're not quite as forgiving. And that doesn't mean in a bad way. So if I were to go back to my Saucony Endorphin Pros, they weren't quite as stiff. So these are super duper stiff. And so I'll see if they break down over time. Obviously they will, but how quickly. Where I felt like my Saucony Endorphin Pros were a little softer right out the box and on my first run, and just as responsive. So that was one thing that I noticed was, you know, your first mile or so, your running form isn't quite there. You know, you're still trying to kind of wake up your muscles, and I felt it in these shoes. Like, it was almost like every step I was taking, it was telling me, hey, you're a little off right now. Like, let's smooth it out. Let's, you know, get your form in check. So I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's relatively a good thing, was that it was kind of giving me some feedback early on in my run and saying, hey, let's get that running form in check. Like, let's make that a focus. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Not as forgiving in the first few miles. The other thing that I noticed is that it felt like it was pushing me to run faster. So can I talk about like the carbon plated shank in it? And so when I'm kind of bending it, they're super duper stiff. And so it was almost like telling me, go faster, go faster, go faster. And so I found that super interesting. And we'll find out how that works. But, you know, today's run felt really, really easy for an 8:52 pace. And especially after yesterday, I pushed pretty hard in my speed day. I had a 9.5 mile workout that was 1 mile warm up. And then I had 6 1-mile intervals and with a 400 meter jog or recovery in between, and then it was bookended by a 1 mile cool down. So in that workout yesterday, I hit a ton of PRs. I PR'd my 1K, I PR'd my 5K, I PR'd my 10K, I PR'd my mile yesterday. Not in these shoes, actually in my Endorphin Pros. And normally I would be tired at this stage. And so I felt like the carbon plated shank really helped kind of usher me along in my run today. And so I felt that super duper interesting. I really like the colors. I was lucky enough to find some. Oh, that was the other thing. These run really small. I've never worn an 11.5 shoe. Whether it be Nikes or Sauconys or Hoka's, even my Nike Invincibles that I have Nike Invincible 2s, again, previous year model. Those run in a 10.5 and they fit just fine. I ordered the 10.5 and 11s in these Vaporflies, and both of them were really, really tight on my feet. I had to go up to an 11.5 to get them to fit my feet. And it wasn't just how narrow they were, it was also in the length. Nikes usually run pretty narrow as a shoe. I have a little bit wider feet than that. But these seem to run really, really small compared to other Nike shoes or other shoes that I've worn in the past. So yeah, that was surprising to me to have to order a larger pair of shoes. The other thing is I did read that the bottoms of the shoes were slippery in some reviews. I didn't notice that today. I mean, obviously it's dry today. Maybe if they were maybe heel strikers. I'm not a heel striker. I'm a 4-foot striker. And so I felt really secure taking corners and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I read in other reviews that maybe because they were narrow that they just didn't take corners very well. But I mean, I was running an easy paced run today, but I didn't notice that that they were slippery or anything like that. So, but a really cool shoe. I'm really looking forward to running more in these. I'm also looking forward to running in these in some of my speed training runs to see how they feel as they are talking to me and saying, run faster, run faster. So we'll find out about that. But if you haven't seen my tips from previous videos, you guys, if you're not a top runner, or if you haven't been running for years on end, I just don't see any value in going out and buying the latest and greatest shoe and spending top dollar for them. Even if they're like 20% discount, it just doesn't make any sense. I highly recommend that you purchase a previous year's model shoe that's got amazing technology most of the time. And I worked in the shoe industry back when I was in my 20s, and there's not a huge difference in technology from year to year. Now, if we're talking like 5 years or something like that, that's a whole different story. But this to what the Vaporfly 3s are gonna be, I don't think it's a big enough difference to where it's worth it for me to spend an extra $100 as an amateur runner. Just my 2 cents. All right, so have a great day. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe down at the bottom. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope you guys go out and have a wonderful day and go out and get a run. All right, deuces.